So we got a nice 85 ATC70. Done some work on this bike for the owner. He had me do some refinishing on the, I rebuilt his pole start for him, refinished the side cover, cleaned up and polished some of the chrome, worked on the carb for him, removed the liner that was inside of his tank that had failed, polished up the plastics, did some work on the rims, got those refinished, put some new tires on it. I think that's about it. What it had a weird stalling issue with the engine, and it was getting a lot of the varnish from the old tank and liner that was clogging up the carb. So just a lot of figuring out what was going on to get it to run good. But it's a healthy motor. He came back. He's going to want me to do some painting on the rear chain guard and the brake cover area. I'm going to try and vapor blast the axle tubes and maybe polish them a little bit. They're originally zinc coated, so I'm going to just see the best I can do to help bring them back to a possible shine. I don't want to paint over it. But the bike is really nice. Really good example of a kind of a unmolested 85 ATC70. So it actually will be for sale. I'm in Orlando, Florida, so this is where this is for sale. I don't know the price from the owner, but if you're interested, reach out to me and I can get you in contact with the seller. But I'll just show a little video of working on pulling the rear wheels and cleaning up that area just for some entertainment. Already got my cotter pin in there. It usually should be in there to do your castle nut. It's a 19 millimeters bolt here, or nut on the axle bolt end. Little spacer. So we'll go ahead and we're going to pull this chain guard cover off and just get it refurbished. It's pretty hard. It's pretty hard to see. I don't know if it's focusing or not. This is the axle sleeve spacer I pulled off that I said is zinc coated from the factory. I'm not re-zinking any of the hardware or anything, so we'll probably just do a light abrasive cleaning on it and get it down to more of a polished steel, since the zinc coating's probably just worn away. And I'll just put a clear coat over it, just trying to keep it more of a metal finish as opposed to painting it silver. Do this brake cover here too. We'll get this refinished. So I'll grab the other axle sleeve. Just anyone that's interested in this bike, you can just see how nice and good shape it's in. Look at just the surface of the axle, just shows that it wasn't left outside. I mean, those are usually just gone, rusty, hard to get parts off, and these things are just like brand new looking. Beautiful. Alright, so just, you know, maybe 5 minutes at the most on a polishing wheel. Left is original, just with the wear and tear on it, and then I used a 3M pad on a 6-inch or 6.5-inch buffing 3M pad, Scotch-Brite pad, to polish the metal, so it's nice and shiny. I'm just going to put a clear coat over it, but it looks really good. So just, you know, always the right tools for the right job makes your life easier, and you get a good end product. I wasn't sure if that other video captured the difference in the finish of the materials, but here's just a quick look. Alright, so I got both those axle spacers polished and got some clear on them. I'll let them dry. Excuse me. Excuse me. Alright, so I'll work on getting that brake cover off. So I went ahead and removed this lower guard because it actually is covering the brake cover up before you can remove it. So had to take those full 4 bolts off, and we're good to go. So if you do a brake job, I don't know if I'm going to do one on this one or not, but if I don't do one in the video, your brake shoes are behind that cover, and this is your brake drum, and you can access your shoes to replace right behind there. So, you know, like I showed how nice and clean these axles are, just to prove, you know, how nice of a bike this is, that there's no dings or dents on the brake cover, which usually happens on the lower side of the brake cover with clearance of the ground. No rust inside of it. Chain guard is in great shape. Never had a chain failure inside of here. Nothing's rusted through at all. It's all pretty much original black paint inside. So this is a really clean bike. Really cool. So I got the high spots knocked down off with a 3M Scotch-Brite pad. This is a etching primer. So I'm going to let that dry, and then I'm just going to use a 600 grit sandpaper to kind of smooth this out before I put the top enamel over, the black spray enamel. Alright, so I got my black enamel on, 2 coats. I'm going to let that dry for a little bit. I'm going to swap out these fuel lines, put some new lines on, put some inline filters for the fuel too. Get the head cleaned up a little bit, get some of this gunk off of it, polish that side cover. So we're just going to put this new line on, some new filters for the capture any kind of contaminants in the tank before it gets to the carb. So I'll just put some mother's polish, mag and aluminum polish. We'll just do the side cover real quick. It's in good shape. Probably just needs a little quick clean in here. Bring back some of the shine in it. Looks good. Plastics are in great shape. Just going to put a little, I use this Honda spray detailer. Works great on plastic. So we're just going to spray those, and I'll go over the paint, give it a little more gloss, clean off any of the dirt that takes away from the shine on these. A little goes a long way with that stuff. We'll just polish it on real quick. Super easy, really good results. So since I got the cover off, I'll take a look at my chain a little closer, make sure that the sprockets are healthy, or at least the rear sprocket's healthy. The chain if it's stretched or not, and then make some adjustments if necessary. This is doesn't have like a swing arm, doesn't have chain axle adjustments. It has just chain adjustment over here. Uses a 14mm socket, so you're just going to want to loosen up the 2 bolts that hold it. You know, you'll want a ratcheting wrench to get up in there. It's the easiest way to get into this area. You're going to want to loosen your bolts up just enough to get some movement in the tensioner. You can see we got some slack here. We're going to eat it up by pushing up on the tensioner. Kind of want to leave about 1 inch up, 1 inch down. So I'm going to say right about there is good on this chain. And we'll tighten that back up. So if you happen to have some noise coming from that area, it's probably your chain stretched out, and just got to pull that cover and pull the bottom shield off the bottom of the frame to access that tensioner that's on the side of the frame, and just do an adjustment. So the parts are dry enough, so I'm gonna go ahead and just start to put them back on here. I'll go ahead and fasten them in with their bolts. Alright, so everything's secured. I'm going to put the axle sleeves back on. I put a little bearing grease or assembly grease on the axles and the splines. So we'll go ahead and get those polished off axle tubes here. Alright, and the last step for these axles is let's get the wheels back on, and then I'll bolt or tighten the axle nuts on and put the cotter pin back in. Got the wheels back on. Kind of admire the simple cleanup there on the chain guard and the axles. Looks good. I'm going to work on the, actually just to correct myself too, I think I might have called this an 85 in the beginning of the video, 1985, but it's a 1983 model. So I just want to correct myself on that one. I'm going to put some gas in the tank, get the engine warmed up, and do just a little bit of carb tuning to make sure it runs good. And I think that's going to be it for this bike. And again, if it's should be up for sale, and you know, if you guys have any interest in it, message me. I'll let the owner know, but I don't have a price at this moment while I'm making this video. Alright, so the engine's warmed up. I set the idle speed. We'll just take it for a quick spin and kind of give it a little rundown. that's it for this one. Hope you enjoyed just kind of a basic playing around, cleaning up, and maybe a little chain tensioning, fixing. So nothing too crazy on this video.